Zoya met Musa during her second year at university in Lusaka. He was the kind of guy everyone noticed, always smiling, always saying the right things. He had a calm voice and a way of making people feel special. From the first time they spoke, Zoya felt something shift. It wasn't just his charm or the way he carried himself, it was how he listened. Really listened. He asked about her dreams, her childhood, her fears. He didn't laugh when she said she wanted to open her own business one day. He said, "You'd be amazing at that." They started spending more time together. Studying in the library, walking home after lectures, late-night talks over nshima and tea. He made her feel safe. Loved. He talked about how important family was to him, how he wanted kids one day, how his mother taught him to respect women. Every word made Zoya fall deeper. She thought, finally, someone who understands me. Someone who wants what I want. Musa supported her through exams, through tough days, through the stress of life far from home. He showed up with snacks when she was tired, held her hand when she cried, whispered promises about a future with her, marriage, babies, a house filled with laughter. It all felt so real, so honest. Zoya had never loved like this before. And for the first time in her life, she believed she had found her forever. She had no idea how much that belief would one day cost her. Zoya had always dreamed of becoming a mother. After years of hoping and waiting, she finally saw the 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. Her hands shook, her heart raced, and tears filled her eyes, not from fear, but from pure joy. She whispered, "I'm going to be a mom," over and over, unable to believe it was real. For a moment, it felt like her whole world had changed. She imagined little feet running around, baby clothes drying in the sun, and Musa holding their child with pride in his eyes. She planned a sweet surprise. She wrote "Daddy-to-be" on a mug and placed it next to his morning coffee. Her heart pounded as she watched him pick it up. She waited for his eyes to light up, for the hugs and the "I can't believe it" joy. But instead, silence. He stared at the mug, then at her. No smile. No excitement. Just a blank face. Zoya laughed nervously, thinking maybe he was in shock. "Did you see it?" "We're having a baby," she said, smiling wide. But Musa just nodded slowly, like it was news about the weather. "Okay," he muttered. No emotion. No warmth. His body felt distant, like he wasn't really there. Zoya's stomach dropped. Something felt wrong. This wasn't the man who once promised her forever. This wasn't how she imagined telling the love of her life they were about to become parents. She expected love. Instead, she got cold silence. Days passed, but he didn't ask questions about the baby. He didn't rub her belly or talk about names. He stayed late at work, avoided eye contact, and slept with his back turned. Zoya tried to shake it off. Maybe it was stress. Maybe he just needed time. But deep inside, her instincts whispered something she didn't want to hear. He's pulling away. She cried quietly at night, holding her belly, whispering promises to her unborn child. "I'm here. I want you. I'll love you enough for both of us." Because even though she wasn't sure what was happening with Musa, she knew one thing for sure: she was already a mother. Zoya couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Musa had changed. He no longer looked at her the way he used to. He came home late, avoided conversations, and always seemed to be glued to his phone. She tried to ignore it at first, telling herself it was just stress or maybe the pressure of the baby on the way. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Her heart was trying to protect her before her mind could catch up. One night, while Musa was asleep beside her, she reached for his phone. Her hands trembled as she typed in the passcode, the same one he once gave her so freely. She didn't know what she was hoping to find. Maybe reassurance. Maybe nothing at all. But what she found shattered her. There were messages. Dozens of them. Long, sweet, flirty conversations with someone saved as Cousin Chipo. But the words weren't the kind cousins would ever say. "I miss you already. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again, baby." Zoya stared at the screen, feeling like the air had been punched out of her lungs. Her heart pounded in her ears. Tears blurred her vision. He wasn't just emotionally distant, he was cheating. While she carried his child, while she cried alone at night, he was busy giving his love to someone else. It wasn't just the betrayal that hurt. It was the cruelty. The lies. The fact that he looked her in the eyes every day and still chose to hurt her behind her back. Zoya sat in the dark, phone in hand, her baby kicking gently inside her. How could he do this? How could he look at her growing belly, the life they created together, and still walk into someone else's arms? She didn't wake him. She didn't scream. She just sat there, silent and broken, staring at the man she once thought would never hurt her. Everything had changed. The future she imagined with him was gone. All she could think was, this isn't just my heartbreak anymore. This is my baby's story too. Zoya couldn't keep it in anymore. After finding the messages, her heart was too heavy. One evening, as Musa came home late again, she stood by the door waiting. Her voice was calm but shaky as she asked, "Who is Cousin Chipo?" She held his phone in her hand, the screen lit up with proof. For a second, his eyes widened, just for a second. Then came the lies. He laughed. Not nervously but cruelly. "You're being paranoid," he said, snatching the phone from her. "You're pregnant, Zoya. Emotional. You see things that aren't there." She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Instead of apologizing or explaining, he twisted everything, made her question herself. "You're just hormonal," he said coldly, like her pain was nothing but mood swings. Zoya felt like she was losing her mind. He made her feel small, silly, dramatic, like she was the problem. Even with all the evidence, he refused to admit anything. And after that night, he began to disappear. He'd vanish for days without a call or text. When she tried to reach out, he wouldn't answer. When he did show up, he acted like everything was normal, like she should just smile and forget. She was 5 months pregnant, her body aching, emotions all over the place, and the man who was supposed to love her just left her to deal with it all alone. No hugs, no comfort, no, "I'm here for you." Just silence. Zoya would lie awake at night, her hand on her belly, tears running down her cheeks, wondering what she had done to deserve this. The worst part wasn't just the cheating, it was how easily he made her feel crazy for knowing the truth. She cried into her pillow while her baby kicked gently, a reminder that she wasn't truly alone. But the loneliness still felt like a deep, heavy hole. She had pictured Musa holding her hand during scans, rubbing her back when she couldn't sleep, talking to her belly like an excited dad-to-be. Instead, she was left to fight through everything by herself, heartbroken and confused. Zoya had gone to Ndola for a quick weekend visit, to get a few baby things, clear her mind, and spend time with an old friend. She was 8 months pregnant, moving slower than usual but still holding on to some kind of hope. Even after everything, a small part of her still wished Musa would change. That he'd show up one day and say sorry. That he'd be the man she fell in love with again. She wasn't expecting to see him there. It happened so fast. She was walking through the mall trying to decide between 2 baby blankets when she saw a familiar figure just a few steps ahead. It was Musa, laughing, holding hands with another woman. They looked so comfortable, like a real couple. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't nervous. He was just there, out in the open, like nothing was wrong. Zoya froze. Her heart dropped. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. She called out his name, and he turned around slowly, casually. Their eyes met, and she expected shock or guilt. But instead, he rolled his eyes and let go of the woman's hand like it was nothing. "What are you doing here?" he asked, like she was the one interrupting something. Tears filled her eyes. Her voice cracked as she said, "Really, Musa? This is who you are now." And then he said it. Cold. Cruel. "You're too much to deal with." No apology. No shame. Just that one sentence, and he walked away with the other woman, like Zoya didn't exist. Like the child in her belly meant nothing. Like she was just some problem he didn't feel like solving. Zoya stood there in the middle of the mall, surrounded by strangers and baby bags, heart completely shattered. People stared, but she didn't care. Her chest ached, not just from pain, but from the weight of everything she had carried, the love, the hope, the waiting. That moment was the final blow. The last piece of the illusion falling apart. There was no fixing this. No more second chances. She realized then, the man she once loved was gone. Zoya didn't scream. She didn't cry in front of him. She didn't ask him why or try to make him stay. After that final moment in the mall, after hearing him say, "You're too much to deal with," something inside her went quiet. A deep silence that wasn't weakness but strength. She walked away with her head held high, one hand on her belly, the other wiping away the last tears she would ever cry for him. She didn't call him. She didn't try to explain how much he'd hurt her. She didn't text long messages hoping he'd understand. Instead, she blocked his number, deleted his photos, and shut every door he could use to reach her again. No drama. No shouting. Just silence. Zoya packed her things and moved back to Kitwe, to her mother's house. It wasn't easy. She had to leave behind the city where she had studied, loved, dreamed, but Lusaka no longer felt like home. Kitwe was quiet, peaceful, and most of all it was safe. Her mother welcomed her with open arms, no questions asked. Just warm meals, gentle hugs, and soft prayers whispered at night. For the first time in months, Zoya could breathe. She began to sleep better. She took long walks, spoke to her baby, and let the pain slowly melt away in the small daily routines, washing baby clothes, reading parenting books, rubbing coconut oil on her growing belly. She stopped waiting for apologies. She stopped replaying the heartbreak in her mind. She started choosing herself piece by piece. There were hard days. Moments when loneliness crept in, when memories tried to haunt her. But she reminded herself, silence doesn't mean weakness. It means I've said everything I needed to say. In that quiet space, Zoya began to rebuild. Not just her plans, but her heart. She wasn't the same woman who once begged for love. She was becoming someone new, someone stronger, softer, wiser. And though Musa's absence left a hole, it was slowly being filled with something far more powerful: self-respect. Love for her unborn child. The night Zoya went into labor, it was raining. The wind howled outside and the roads were quiet. Her mother rushed to get her to the hospital, holding her hand tightly in the back seat, whispering prayers the whole way. Zoya breathed through the pain, her heart beating faster with every contraction. She knew this moment would come. She had prepared for it, packed her hospital bag, folded the baby's tiny clothes, picked out a name. But nothing could prepare her for doing it completely alone. No calls came from Musa. No messages. No, "Are you okay?" or "I'm on my way." Just silence, the same cold silence he had left her with for months. But Zoya didn't let that stop her. She focused on her breathing, on the nurses' calm voices, on the tiny life about to arrive. The pain was intense, sharper than anything she'd ever known. At one point, she felt like giving up, like the weight of it all, the labor, the heartbreak, the loneliness was too much. But just when it felt impossible, a kind nurse held her hand and said, "You're not alone. We're here. You've got this." And something inside her shifted. She pushed through the pain, through the fear, through every broken piece of her heart. And then a cry. Loud. Beautiful. Alive. Tears streamed down Zoya's face as the nurse placed her baby on her chest. The tiny heartbeat, the soft skin, the way those little eyes blinked up at her, it was all worth it. Every tear, every lonely night, every unanswered question. She looked down at her child and smiled. "We did it," she whispered. "Just us." There was no Musa in that room. No apologies. No flowers. No proud father taking photos. But Zoya didn't feel empty, she felt whole. Because in that delivery room, she found something stronger than any promise a man could ever make. She found herself. Her baby was healthy, strong, loved beyond measure. And that first cry wasn't just the sound of new life, it was the sound of Zoya's victory. She had brought life into the world. Zoya sat by the window, her newborn sleeping peacefully in her arms, the soft sound of his breathing filling the room. The nights were long and exhausting, but her heart was full. Every time she looked at his tiny fingers and perfect little face, she felt a new kind of purpose. She wasn't just healing anymore. She was growing into someone she never imagined she could be. One morning, as she folded a little onesie she had hand-stitched, an idea bloomed in her mind. She had always loved creating things with her hands, sewing, designing, making things feel special. And now, with her baby as her muse, she felt inspired. "What if I started something?" she whispered to herself. "Something for him. And for me." That's how Envelope Babywear was born, with nothing but fabric, a second-hand sewing machine, and a mother's love. She started small, sewing soft, eco-friendly baby clothes from local materials. Each piece had something unique: bright prints, gentle fabrics, tiny hand-stitched details that made parents smile. Zoya poured her love into every item. At first, she sold to a few moms in Kitwe, then Lusaka. But word spread fast. Her story, a single mother rising from heartbreak, creating beauty in the middle of pain, touched people. Parenting groups across Africa shared her designs. Influencers tagged her. Orders poured in. She couldn't believe it. Her pain, her silence, her strength. It had all led to this. She wasn't just a mother anymore. She was a businesswoman, a designer, a storyteller. Every time she packaged an order, she remembered the nights she cried herself to sleep, the moment she gave birth alone, the first day she sat at her sewing machine with nothing but hope. And now here she was, building a brand, feeding her child, and inspiring other women who thought they were too broken to begin again. Zoya named the brand Envelope, meaning nature, because it reminded her that healing, like nature, Takes time but always finds a way. It had been over a year since Zoya heard Moose's voice. Life had moved on without him. Her baby was growing fast, laughing loudly, learning to walk and calling her mama. With so much joy it made her heart burst. Envelope Babywear was thriving. Her small business had turned into a full-time hustle, and she had even hired 2 other young mothers to help with orders. Zoya was busy, peaceful, and finally happy. Then one morning out of nowhere Musa showed up. He stood at the gate of her mother's house, looking nothing like the man who once broke her heart. His clothes were wrinkled, his eyes tired. He had no job, no car, no confidence. The woman he had left Zoya for had dumped him. And now he was standing there, talking about how he wanted to step up and be a father. Zoya watched him through the window for a moment. There was a time when she would have cried at the sight of him. A time when she would have begged him to stay. But not anymore. She walked out slowly, holding her baby on her hip, calm and composed. Musa looked at her like he didn't recognize her. She had changed. There was strength in her silence, fire in her eyes, and peace in her smile. "I just want to talk," he said. Zoya nodded and pointed to the gate, where a security guard, hired after envelopes started booming, stood watching. "If you want to talk, book an appointment." "Through my lawyer," she said softly. Musa's jaw dropped. "Zoya, come on. Don't be like this." She smiled kindly, holding her child close. "No. I'm being exactly like this. Because I finally know my worth." She didn't shout. She didn't list all the ways he had hurt her. She didn't need to. Her success, her peace, her beautiful baby, they said everything. She turned around and walked back into the house, leaving him outside with his regrets. Musa had come back hoping to find the same Zoya he had left behind. The one who cried, begged, and broke. But she was gone. Zoya raised her son with everything she had. Not just clothes and food, but deep, honest love. She taught him to speak kindly, to stand tall, and to respect others and himself. From the moment he could walk, she showed him how to move through the world with confidence. She didn't raise him with bitterness or anger. She raised him with purpose. When he grew old enough to ask about his father, he did so gently, unsure. Zoya smiled, held his little hand and said, "He helped bring you here, but I built the rest." There was no sadness in her voice, just truth. Her son nodded, quietly understanding that love isn't always about who's present at the start, but who stays and builds along the way. Zoya's story touched more than just her son. One day she sat down with a friend and recorded her journey for a local podcast. Just one episode. She spoke from the heart, sharing how she turned heartbreak into strength, how she built envelope babywear from her bedroom, and how silence became her greatest power. That episode went viral. Messages from women poured in, thanking her, relating to her, cheering her on. Soon after, her story was turned into a documentary. Cameras followed her daily life, from sewing orders to morning school drop-offs, to quiet nights reading bedtime stories. People saw her not as a victim but as a fighter. A mother. A businesswoman. A builder of legacy. Zoya didn't let her son grow up with the weight of abandonment. Instead, she gave him roots and wings. She taught him that love is an action, not just a word. And every step she took forward became a path for others to follow. She wasn't a leftover. She was the start of something new.